Hello, next class, here we go. It looks like it's quite sunny out there, so I don't know what day you'll get to this. It's Friday today here. I don't know what day you'll get to do it, but hope you enjoy it when you do. We're going to start standing up today, just for a bit of variety really, and do some slightly different exercises. Be here for about an hour. I'll just put this on. So, let's do that. There we go. So just check your space, particularly standing up, just check overhead that you're not going to bash anything with your hands. Check your workspace for when we get down on the floor as well. There's nobody in the way. Nobody in the way. Nothing in the way. Bit of a Freudian slip there. I'm going to start on the end of my mat a little bit just to think about your posture. So just roll your shoulders back. Tuck your belly in a little bit and tilt your tailbone down as if you've got a heavy weight hanging down from that tailbone. And then lift up as if you're lifting out of your pelvic bowl. Wind your neck in just slightly, and just to get the feet switched on, just fidget your toes around a little bit and just gently rock on your feet. You haven't got to lift the toes and heels if you don't want to. Just rocking, just to get the leg muscles working and waking up to support you while we're up here. And then relax. And when you're ready, you just turn your head from left to right. And you've got your chin kind of sat on a shelf as you go around, so you're not tucking it in or lifting it up, just working through the neck. Keep reaching up through your spine, so you're not sinking down into that pelvis. Relax the shoulders down your back. Bring your head back to centre and tuck your chin in. And back to that shelf position, and then lift your chin up. Working through the neck. You might hear a few creaks in that neck. Just remember, it's only because your neck's very close to your ears, so you can hear all the creaking. Hopefully the creaking will diminish as we get going. I'm going to turn to face you for the next one so you can see what I mean. I'm just going to tilt your head to the side and centre and the other side. Now try and keep your shoulders down as you tilt your head over, because you're looking for a stretch down the side of the neck and across the top of the shoulders. So try, as you take your head over, try and ease the opposite shoulder down slightly to enjoy that stretch. And stretching through the neck, keep reaching up. Habits come in when we're standing and we start to go into our slouchy postures if we're not careful. So always rising up, using the muscles along your spine. And then bring your head back to centre, my favourite one. I'll do it side on because I don't want to scare you when you see my face, what I look like. So you've got your chin on your shelf, you're pushing your head forward, and then you're pulling back. So you're trying to line your ears up with the shoulders, and you're pulling your chin into your throat. And then forward again. So working through the neck. Really common posture fault, this one, is that we tend to have the head forward, and that pulls all our weight forward. So if you wind your neck in, pull back. And then reset your head over your shoulders and start to roll the shoulders back. Nice big circles, pulling the shoulders back and down and feeling that slight lift of the rib cage as your shoulders slide down. Again, it's another posture fault where our shoulders tend to drop forward and flex the upper back. We're trying to lift up. Use the muscles in your back to support the rib cage. Now pull back, put your hands in your back pockets and lift your chest a little bit higher. So you're trying to squeeze the inside of your elbows together and push the chest forward slightly. If that's too much, stay with the circling. Yeah. So inside of the elbows, pulling together as the ribcage lifts up away from your belly. I'm going to turn away from you for the next bit just to show you what I mean. So if that feels okay, lace your fingers together, and as you pull the shoulder blades together and the elbows together, push the hands down to the floor. So you pull the elbows in together like you did before, and you push your hands down past your bum if you can. Depends how big your bum is. I won't ask. Yeah. So you're just opening up the front of this shoulder a little bit. If you want a deeper version of that stretch, yet more, shoulder blades, elbows come together, hands slide down, tighten your belly, and then move your hands away from your body. So stretch into the arms a little bit more. Pull down and lift away. More bendy people mind that you're not actually using your spine to push away from your hands. You're pulling your hands away from your spine. And relax. Good. A little bit of work for the torso now. So do a bit of twisting. Fold your arms into a Cossack box sort of shape. And then twist. Remember, I keep turning to the camera and away from the camera just so you can see me at different profiles, but you can just stay where you are, as long as you can see me clearly on your screen. Hips stay forward on this one, tailbone down. Press through your feet a little bit and reach up through your head. We want to stabilise from the pelvis down so we can rotate from the torso up. Twisting and coming back. Again, stay with this version if it feels like it's the right amount of work for you. If it's feeling a bit much, just lower your arms. If it feels like you want a little bit more, take the arms out to the side. Now I want you to pull your shoulder blades back and down and keep them back and down as you twist. This isn't a movement where you bring your arm across your body. So shoulders are fixed and you twist from the waist, really lifting that torso as you move around. Squeezing the butt a little bit more on this one. To keep it nice and still. You're going to feel your arms working. Really good for strengthening and stabilising that upper body. It's like you've got a back brace on holding you. Squeeze the tailbone down, squeeze the belly button in and reach up through your head. And then bring your arms down, roll your shoulders, surprisingly tiring on the arms. And then we'll start on the sides of the body. So arms down by your sides, set those shoulders where you just put them, so back and down. Feet maybe a little bit wider for balance, and then you're going to slide your hand down the side of your leg. And back up. Now, try not to tip forward. So imagine a pane of glass just in front of your nose. As you go over, you don't want to bump your nose on it. Shoulders back, bum squeezed a little bit for stability. And pull yourself up. So we're stretching these sides a little bit. Again, stay with this if it feels like the right amount of work, but if you want more and your shoulder lets you, slide your hand down, squeeze your bum, and bring the opposite arm over your head. And reach out, reach for the wall. Tighten the long side to pull you back up. Same on the other side, so over you go. Now if you feel it across that lower back there, just check that you're not pushing forward. Sometimes we do a forward stretch and that's going to feel like if it's very tight. So tailbone pointing down, over you go and reach over with your arm. Good. Cool. Another one. I'm going to add on to this one again in a minute if you want to. So what you can do is go over, reach out with this top hand, press down through your feet for balance, turn the bottom hand round and bring it up so you're framing your ears with both arms now. Tighten the middle and pull yourself back up. Ease the shoulders away from your neck. Lower one hand, so we're going to go over, reach out with that arm, squeeze your bum and press through your feet. Turn the hand round, stretch through the spine as the arm comes up and frames your ears. And pull yourself up. If that's too much, go back to what we've done before. Good. Make sure you're not sticking your butt out, because that will be using your lower back. Head over hips, not forward of them. Good. Pull up, ease the shoulders down. One more, over you go. Frame your ears, reach out through that spine. Pull yourself up. Bring your arms down, roll the shoulders. Good. Then we're going to get into that lower back. So we're going to do a few squats to get into the lower back, knees and hips. Now, if your knees and ankles and hips are a little bit tight today, start with a small squat and then you build up. So arms out in front and you sit back and down. It doesn't have to be a deep squat. Remember, we're only warming up. So we're just bending at the hip and at the knee and at the ankle, keeping the back nice and straight and pulling up. Vanity can come into this move if you're not careful, and we tend to drop forward because we think if our head's low, our bum's low. It isn't. So try to keep your back straight as you lower, and then you're going to get that nice stretch rather than dropping your shoulders forward. And bit by bit, squat by squat, you start to go a little bit lower. Push your hips back as your arms reach forward, and then you'll find you've got your balance. Working through. Press down through your feet and clench your bum to come up. Push back. Pull the shoulders back slightly if you feel that you're overreaching with your arms. Good. One more. And on this one, if you can, stay down. Depends on your balance. You know, roll your weight forward onto the balls of your feet so your heels lift off the floor. You're going to roll back to the heels and then pull yourself up. You're going to use your leg muscles, and it's working the lower legs as well now. So if it's not for you, if you feel like you're going to topple forward, stay with what we were doing. But if you can, sit back and down, stretch through the top of your head for balance, roll forward onto the balls of your feet so your heels just naturally lift. Try and keep your bum low as you put your heels back down, and then up. One more if you can. Down, roll forward, keep stretching through the spine for balance, roll back, and up. Good. Relax the shoulders, and a little bit of work just for the hips. Hold on to the wall if you want to for this one, or a piece of furniture if it's handy, and just move the leg forward and back. You can just touch the floor in front and behind you just to work through the hip. Try and keep the tailbone still, so you're mobilising the hip. You can stay with this, just working through the front and back of the leg, or you can bend the knee so the foot doesn't actually touch the floor. Whatever feels right for you. Try and stand up straight, and if you feel your weight's all pushing onto that one side, find something to lean on. Pull yourself up out of that hip. It'll be sore otherwise. Just moving it forward and back. Squeeze your bum to move it back rather than push your belly out. Loosening up through that hip. And then, same on this side, I'm going to turn around so you can see what I mean. So you can start forward and back, just touching the floor. And I want to reach up so you're not pushing your weight all into this hip. Lift out of it. And you might decide you're not going to have the same balance both sides. So this side, this might be as much as you want to do. But if you can, and you want to, bend the knee so your foot's away from the floor. Squeeze that belly tight. Remember, when you're moving the leg back, especially if you're quite flexible in the back, you're not just sticking your belly out, you're using these bum muscles. Draw it up, push it back. Keep reaching out of this hip. Use your bum muscles, pull the leg back. We've got scissors to do lying down in a bit. We want to make sure we've got that technique. So to move the knee back, you squeeze your bum. And then put your foot down. So you did a little bit of balance work then. You might find your legs have tightened up a little bit. So just gently rocking on your feet. Just to relax the lower leg muscles, because they came in quite hard then for stability. Well, they did for me. It might not for you. You might be wondering, oh, what's going on there? Right, we're going to do roll down to get us down onto the floor, onto hands and knees for the next section. If you don't like roll down, sometimes it can make people feel dizzy because the head's low. Don't do it. If you've got any osteoporosis or any slipped discs in your back, it's not really safe for you to do it anyway. So if any of those apply to you, what I'd like you to do is a few more squats. I know, oh, look at you. So a few more squats if you don't want to do roll down. But if you have got no disc problems in your back, but it's very tight, then it is a nice exercise because it just takes the compression out of the lower back. So if you're going to do it, start with your chin on your shelf, relax your feet, stretch them out a little bit and try and have the weight slightly more in the midfoot rather than the heel. Tuck your chin in so you're looking down at the floor and you're aiming down, so you slowly roll over. Hands are either on the legs or quite close to them, and as your head goes down you feel your tailbone go up, so you're starting to feel that lengthen at the back of the thigh. Try to keep your chin neutral so you're not tucking your chin forward to look at the floor, so you start to look behind you, and stop at any point you want to. Just feel that spine stretching and the legs stretching. When you feel like you've had enough or you're risking falling on your nose, you stop. You can put your hands on your legs and then you start to come back up. Tighten your belly, send the tailbone down as the spine straightens and the head comes up last. So we're resetting the spine. We're going to do that one more, and on the next one we'll stay there for a little bit and then go down onto hands and knees. So get the weight into the middle of your feet, tuck your chin in and slowly over. So hands on the legs if you want for a bit of support. Soften the knees so they're not locked, because you'll just pinch your toes if you do that. Slowly over, bum up, head down. Feel the spine stretching, feel the back of the legs stretching. Hanging, relaxing the neck and shoulders. Let your arms just swing about a little bit if you want to, just to release any tension in the shoulders and the arms. Relax the neck. If your balance is okay, you can just gently rock on your feet if you want to. Don't lift your toes too high, you'll fall backwards. Just rocking gently on your feet will release the legs and you'll find you go over a bit further as well. Okay. And then we're going to go down onto hands and knees. So bend your knees, put your hands on the floor, down you come. Remember, on your hands and knees, if your knees are a little bit sore, if you want to pad them, you can put cushions, you can roll your mat up, you can put your roller skate pads on if you want, if you got them handy. Right, and we're going to go round in a circle, so you're going to move yourself round in a circle. Stretching. The circle can be as big as you want it to be, and you can do as many in each direction as suits you. You're just stretching out. Try and stretch the hands and wrists and feet as well. So if you put your hands flat to the floor, so when your weight comes forward, you'll push down into your hands and that will stretch out the fingers. And for the feet, you can have them flat, so as you sit back, you press gently into the front of your feet, don't cramp them. And you can tuck the toes under as well, so that will stretch the calves, the shins and the instep out. Moving yourself forward and back. Good. Okay, then we're going to go into our cat and cow to get some more work for the back and start to use these front abdominals as well. So start neutral, crown of head pointing forward, tip of tailbone pointing back, and stretch out enough to feel your belly switch on slightly so you're not hunkered in on yourself. Then we're going to curl into a ball, so you're going to pull the pubic bone forward and tuck the tailbone under, and then curl, feel the back lengthen as you curl in. Press down through your hands, squeeze that tailbone under you, and then level out. Pull the shoulders back away from the head, push the sternum, the breastbone forward between your arms and lift your bum in the air. You're shortening your back. And then level up again. So you're going between those three positions. So you tuck under into a ball, push down through the floor. Don't forget to use your lower back. So tuck under, use these abdominal muscles. It's not all across the shoulders. Then straighten, that's your neutral. Pull the shoulders back and together and push the breastbone forward. If it helps you, as you push that sternum forward, press down and pull back with your hands. We need these upper back muscles to work, and then stick your bum in the air. And then level up again. One more, curl in. Neutral, lengthen out, arch. Good. And then back to neutral. And then we add our cheeky knee hovers on. Remember, if you have any issues with your wrists, and knee hovers is too intense for your wrists, you can leave the cat and cow out now. Go down onto your forearms and do a few knee hovers from down here if you find being on your wrists is just too painful for any more. But otherwise, do your curl into a ball, level out, arch your back, pushing the sternum forward, level up, and when you're neutral, feet flat or tucked, whatever's right for you, push down through your hands and lift your knees about an inch off the floor. Hold it for a few seconds and back down. Then into your cat and cow, whichever order you want to do it in. You can round first or stretch first, whichever suits you. But back to neutral and lift. Now when you lift your knees, I want you to be pushing down with your arms. So if your wrists are sore and you can't put weight on them, down on your forearms as well, because I don't want the weight all in your legs. We're building up upper body strength with this move and core strength, so we don't want the weight all in the legs. So when you lift the knees, push down through the floor, lengthen, stretch the spine and tense the belly. Good. Cool. Couple more if you can. Doing the cat and cow in the middle if you want to. Push down through the floor and lift. Feel the weight in your arms. Feel how strong your arms are getting. One more. And rest. Good. We're going to start building up our forward and back move now. So if you bring your hands a bit further forward, come forward into your 3/4 plank. So press stay a little bit into the floor if you can, squeeze your butt. Then sit back. You might not sit very far at the moment. If your knees are a little bit tight, you might find you don't go very far back. It doesn't matter. So you're going to come forward, squeezing your butt, little stretch in the front of the hips, but push with your arms as well. Then knees over hips and move the hips back as far as your knees are comfortable. Bit by bit, sitting back, just like you did with the squats. On the way forward, try not to collapse. We're going to do our back stretch in a minute, so try not to drop into it. Use these abdominal muscles, these core muscles, to lift your hips up and then push back. And bit by bit, you might find that you can sit a little bit further back. It's a nice release. So those of you who didn't do the roll down, this is your release for your lower back. And those of you who did the roll down, now look here, you get 2 goes at it. Forward, 3/4 plank, pushing the floor away, lift, keeping those hips lifted, don't just drop. Sitting back. One more, forward, hold this 3/4 plank if you can. How long you hold these moves is really up to you. I don't want you to be there that long that you kind of switch off and start thinking about other things. So it depends on you really, your strength and your concentration, how long you can hold a position. When you sit back, push the hips back, and we're going to go into child's pose stretches now. So if you bring your big toes together and your knees apart and sit back, if those knees are still sore, I would put a cushion on your feet, on your heels, so when you're sitting, you're still supporting your weight even without putting too much pressure on your knees. So reaching forward with your arms. Shoulders not up round your ears though, pull your shoulders back and down. Let your chest push down a little bit so you're not rounding your back. Then if you want a deeper stretch, take your nose over and line it up. I'm doing my left side, so I'm going to line my nose up with my left knee. I've got my arms either side, so they're framing my ears. And then I'm going to push my right hip back slightly to square it up with the left. And then back to centre, shoulders back and down so your chest is able to release forward, and then over to the side. So now I'm doing my right side. I'm going to take my nose over to line it up with my right knee. I'm going to bring my arms to frame my ears, and I'm going to push my left hip back a little bit if it's moved up, so it's lined up with the right side. And then come back to centre. And if you want a deeper version of that stretch, go over the same. So I'm going over to the left again. Now my right hand is going to come over and sit on my left hand. So now when I ease the right hip back to line it up, I'm going to get a much deeper stretch. All the way from my armpit to my hip. You're going from side to side. Breathe into that deep side and it will really stretch it for you. Relax the neck. Try not to look at your hands because that's going to work your neck too much. So you're going side to side or stopping for a second or two in the centre and lowering the torso down. Getting into these hips a little bit more. How are we doing? We've nearly finished on the knees. A few more to go yet. So what I'd like to do when you've had enough of that is come up onto your hands and knees and we're going to thread a needle. No sewing is required, but it's just called that. So up onto your hands and knees, you're going to turn your right hand over, so palms facing up, and you're going to slide your fingernails along the floor, bending your left elbow as you need to as you reach through. And then come back. You don't have to put your head on the floor if it's too low, if that makes you dizzy, but you're rotating the shoulder. So as I reach out with my left hand, my left shoulder is coming down. So I can reach through. And I'm getting that twist through the spine then. That's what I'm looking for. You don't have to go super low. I know it makes me feel a bit dizzy, but you want that rotation and stretching through the shoulder. So you're not giving yourself a hug. That arm doesn't come up. Again, stay with this if it feels like it's the right amount of stretch for you, or you can add on if you want by, which is the best side to it. So I take my hand under and then I bring it back through and I reach up, so rotating the other way. So now my left shoulder is trying to go up towards the ceiling. Same on the other side. So I've got my right hand and then slide it under, bringing my right shoulder down towards the floor, come back and then I send my right shoulder up towards the ceiling. Trying to keep my hips as still as I can. So reach through, shoulder to floor, reach up, shoulder to ceiling. And we get in this rotation through the body. How are you doing with that? One more each side. When it's very hot like this and it suddenly goes hot, we can get really dehydrated without noticing. So that the body starts to all tighten up. All the water's being pulled out of your connective tissue. You can go a bit crunchy. So just thought we stretch it out a bit. Okay, if you need a rest off your knees, you can sit down for a minute, and if the knees are really playing you up, the next move we do, I will do it in a sec, but you can do it sit on your bum if you want to. So if you're just pain in the knees now, sit on your bum and I'll be with you in a sec. But the rest of you, if you're okay on your hands and knees, you're going to straighten one leg behind you, resting just sort of on the back of your toes, and push the heel away. Don't let the hip move back, keep some weight in your hands, and just stretching the calf. And you're going from side to side. Check, I'll do it this way on so you can see what I mean. When you take that leg out, try not to drop the opposite side. So pull that hip up. And I just want a calf stretch. If you're sitting on your bum waiting for your option, you're just going to pull your foot towards you. So you're looking for that stretch down the back of the leg. If you're very tight in the calf and the bottom of the hamstrings, then it means your knee struggles to straighten properly. So either of those is fine. Pushing through the heel. What I mean by that is as if you're trying to bring your heel down towards the floor. Push away. Now we've got a couple of fun ones to do. Yay! Right, so we're going to come off the wrists and go down onto the forearms because the wrists have done quite a bit of work now. So you're going to come down onto your forearms, very flattering, bum down, head up. And you're going to straighten the leg like you've just done, but this time you're going to lift it using the back of the leg and the bum muscles and lower it. Now, like I said before, check you're not pushing over onto the side. Lift it. If you don't want to be on your knees for this move, you can lie down on your front and lift your leg from there. Squeeze that butt. Lift it up. Try and do between 5 and 8 reps per leg. Up to you whether you alternate or repeat. But check that you're not pushing the other hip out to the side. So use these core muscles to lift the pelvis up. You're not pushing into your hip. I naturally hold my hands together and do this. I make kind of a triangle shape with the arms, so it makes it a little bit easier. Or you can have your arms parallel, up to you. But squeeze that centre. Again, bend is, don't just drop into a pelvic tilt. Use your bum muscles. Between 5 and 8 reps. So you're working on the strength around the hip to keep it stable, and the strength in the bum and the spine muscles to keep you up there. Squeeze. Told you it was fun, didn't I? Didn't lie, did I? No. Squeeze out. And when you've done it on both sides, lifting and lowering, we're going to go back to the first leg. Now we've got the idea. And you're going to lift pretty much as high as you can without tilting the pelvis. And then you're going to do little pulses. So much smaller moves. Keep using these core muscles to keep the pelvis up. Don't let it drop into your hip. And you're going to do 10 little pulses. So squeeze and release 10 times. You're welcome. Check you're not pushing too hard into your arms. Lengthen the spine. Engage these muscles down your spine. Support it. When you've done that side, switch over to the other side. So lift it almost to full range. And then little pulses to get right into these muscles. Lift out that hip. You're hanging in these joints. Good. And when you've done 10, you'll know you've done 10 because it feels like your leg's going to drop off. Put your knee down and sit back into your child's pose. How was that? That was good, wasn't it? Right, we're nearly done. So now I'd like you to do, well, with the line on your front anyway, we've got ages to work yet. You're going to lie yourself down on your belly and we're going to do a nice back stretch. So forearms on the floor. Now if your lower back is very tight, I don't want you to be forcing with your arms. So all I want you to do at first is to just check how your back's feeling. So elbows underneath shoulders, chest lifted, so upper back muscles holding you up there. And if that feels too much, elbows further forward. And you're going to ignore the next bit because this is probably enough for your back today. If that felt too much, just enjoying that stretch. Pulling your shoulders back and down so your chest is facing forward. Otherwise, if your elbows are underneath your shoulders and it doesn't feel like it's too much stretch, press down through your hands. Use the muscles from your shoulders down your back to pull you away from the floor. Straighten your arms as much as is comfortable for you without lifting your hips. And back down. So although your arms are working, they're not primary movers on this move. Your back is. So hands on the floor. Press down a little bit into your hands to get a purchase. And then from shoulders, working the way down your back, lift up. You'll feel your bum muscles working. Keep your hips down on the floor. And back. So you're gradually stretching the front of your body and engaging the back. Pulling you up. Putting you down. So you might well feel quite a stretch in your belly and the front of your hip, which is what we're looking for. Pull up. Arms are working. I can feel my arms working, but they're not doing all the work. My back is holding my weight. If it won't hold it, then back and stay on your elbows instead. Couple more if you can. Peel up. Place it down. Good. One more. Peel up. Bringing your head towards your bum. Relaxing your shoulders away from your ears. Sinking the front of the pelvis down into the floor. Back. Good. Then you're going to lie flat. Hands about level with your shoulders. And you're going to press down to your hands, lifting your hips and bring yourself up onto your hands and knees. And back down again. So we're going to have a go at that, just pushing yourself up. We're going to build this up. This is the first option. So hands on sort of level with your shoulders. Press down into your hands. Use your abdominal muscles to lift your hips off the floor and push yourself up. And back down. One more. Push up. and down. We're going to take that into a 3/4 plank if you can. So your hands a little bit further forward, forearms on the floor, that's elbows underneath the shoulders, forearms under the floor. Forearms on the floor, elbows underneath the shoulders. You're going to relax your shoulders down, tighten your belly, push into your hands and use your core muscles to lift you into a 3/4 plank. And back down. So you're pushing into a 3/4 plank. And back to the floor. Push up. Use these arms for stability. Lengthen the spine. And hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Make sure you're using the abdominal muscles and the hips to lift you. So you've got your elbows underneath your shoulders down, and you push upwards. And your bum and your shoulders are about level. Holding it for 5 seconds. Pushing, using your back muscles, using your front muscles, and back to the floor. If that feels okay and you want to try full, we don't do low plank very often, so it might be a little bit weird. I usually do high plank on your hands. I'm going to try full plank, full low plank if you want to. So like you've just done, push down through your arms, lift with your hips, tuck your toes, take your right knee off the floor, so straighten your right leg, lengthen the spine, do the same with the left leg. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knees, put them down, lower your belly to the floor. How's that? Have another go. So elbows under shoulders, shoulders back and down. Tuck the toes ready. Tuck the toes ready. Lift the hips. Straighten the right leg. Straighten the left leg. Lengthen the spine. Don't hunch into your shoulders. Pull them back and down. 3, 2, 1. Knees down. Belly down. We're doing all right? If your elbows are getting sore, you're pushing too hard, so stay with the lower option, or go right back to that where we had the hands by the shoulders and come up onto the knees. So you're building up that strength in your spine. Otherwise, elbows under shoulders, fingers facing forward. Shoulders down. Last one. Use the abdominals to push your hips up. Tuck the toes. Straighten the right leg. Straighten the left leg. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down. Well done. Good work that was. Hope I explained it all right. Let me know. Onto your side. Have your arm bent underneath your head. Have your knees bent. Chest opener. Arm out in front. Now pull that waist up. I want to be able to get my fingers sliding under that waist. Don't let it drop down. And then lift that hand up. Engage the muscles between your shoulder blades to pull that arm up level with the side of your head. And then twist, pressing down into the legs, twist, reach out, press a little bit into the legs if you can. If it's sore on your knees, bring your top leg in front of your bottom leg. Reach, lengthen the spine. Back to the ceiling. Push down. Imagine, picture that area that you're compressing and pushing it down as your arm lowers to the floor. So we've pushed down. Then we're going to release that pressure and let the air expand. Reach up, pull the shoulders back. Lengthen through the spine as you twist. Much easier to twist if you've got some gap between those bones in the spine. Reach out. Turn your head if you want to. I've turned my head without explaining it, haven't I? You can stay looking forward, or you can turn your head with your arm. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Back to the ceiling and picture that air. Push it, push down. Check the spine hasn't dropped. Sometimes we get so carried away with our chest opener, we get a big dent on this top, and that's pressing into the spine and the hip. So stretch out, straighten out again. Lift. Feel those muscles at the back of your shoulders and twist, pressing into the legs and reaching with the arm. And untwist and lower. Good. Going to get into the hip a little bit now. So I want you to have your knees in a sort of a V shape, still pulling that rib cage up, and imagine your bum pressed against a wall. Relax your feet, and with your feet still together, you're just going to lift and lower the knee. So you're using the muscles in the outside of the hip and the side of your bum to lift your knee up. It's not going to go a long way, but you're just working into your bum. Now, if you've got any knee replacements, or if you find the next bit of the move uncomfortable, leave it out. But if you want to, otherwise, when you bring the knee back down, you lift the foot up. And that's going to stretch the back of the hip and contract the front. So we're going between the front and back of the hip. Just opening it up. Keep pulling the waist up away from the floor. Just working through the mobility in your hip joint. Good. It's quite nice actually, this one, if you've got sciatica, because you're just stretching from away from that sciatic nerve. So it just gives it a bit of release. Good. Just going through the two moves. And then you're going to get the legs straight. If you've got any balance issues lying on your side, you can keep the bottom leg bent if you want to for this move. But otherwise, legs straight, one on top of the other, and stretch out. Again, just like trying to slide your hand underneath you. Doesn't matter if you don't, but it's that feeling that you're not sinking down into the floor. So pull up, stretch through your spine, find your balance, stretch through the back of your body from heels to crown, really lengthen. You can have a cushion underneath your head, or you can have your arm as I've done, whatever's right for you. Now, use the outside of the leg to lift the top leg. We're going to do our scissors. So your top leg is about hip height. If you feel very wobbly or your back doesn't feel stable, just bend your bottom leg and you're just going to work the top leg. But otherwise, use the inner thigh muscles to pull the bottom leg slightly away from the floor. And then one leg goes forward and the other leg goes back. Try not to push too hard into your hip joint because it's taking quite a lot of work in this pivot anyway. So stretch through your head, and you're only going to do a few reps because I don't want you to make your hips sore, but I want you to really push through your feet, working through your hips. Inner and outer thigh muscles engaged, so use the thigh to hold the legs in position. Really stretch, see if you can do splits. Make sure when that bottom leg goes back, it doesn't bend, because then you're not actually working your hip. One more if you can. Really lengthen and stretch through the legs. Yeah, just this side of cramp. And then bend. Good. We're going for time. Let's flip over and do the other side. So bring yourself up and over. You don't want to do too much on that hip because it can get quite sore, especially if you haven't got a very thick mat. So lying on your side, arm or block underneath your head, waist pulled up, shoulders back, arm out in front. Now watch that. When you've got your arm out in front, you're not reaching for something because that pulls your shoulder forward. So square it up. Right, so then you lift and feel that work between your shoulder blades and down your arm. Pull that waist up slightly if it needs it, and then reach back. Twisting, pressing into your legs. And just like when we're doing threading the needle, we're moving the shoulder towards the floor slightly, in that direction. Then pull it back up over the other shoulder, and keep the shoulder where it is as you push your hand to the floor, pressing, squeezing that air. And again, so you reach up, you haven't moved your shoulder yet, you're working into the shoulder joint. And then you work into the middle of the back by moving the shoulder towards the floor. Pressing into the legs, keep them still. Reaching through the spine. Rotation. Pull back up. Stack the shoulders and keep them stacked. And push down. Yeah, squishing that air. One more, let it bounce back up. Pull the arm up. Reach through the spine and twist. If your knees get uncomfortable with this bit of pressure, top leg in front of the bottom leg is fine. Back to the ceiling and down. Go on, because I like you, I'll let you do one more. Lift and twist. I don't know what it's like in your living room. It's blooming boiling in here. Phew. And up. And down. Good. Alright, then into this hip. So we'll start with our mobilising. So you want your heels about level with your bum. So you've got a nice V shape in the legs. You're going to pull the waist in, pull the rib cage up slightly, and then starting we're just going to do the opening. So we're using the bum muscles to lift the knee. Check your feet, because if you point your toes, you're more likely to feel it irritated around the shin. So relax feet, lifting and lowering. Try not to lean back. So you can put the hand at the back of the hip if you want to make sure it doesn't slide back. And then, as long as you haven't got any issues with your knees, if you want to, as you put the knee down, you can lift the foot up. Pelvis doesn't drop forward, because what we're looking for when we lift the foot, we're looking to stretch the back of the hip. So we keep the hips as stacked as we can. So we're just working through the front and back of that hip joint. Spine long, waist pulled up. So you always stay with this. When we move into scissors in a minute, if scissors isn't for you, I know it's a tough move, that one, and if your hips are feeling a bit sore, you don't want to make it worse. So you can stay with this if you want to, because this is going to work all into your bum, and you can stay with just the opener if you find the other move. So that's all working around that hip, so don't feel that you've got to move into scissors if it's not for you. But if you want to, the reason I like to do scissors is it makes you use all around the pelvis for stability as well. But if it's not for you, it doesn't matter. Stretch out. If you are a little bit wobbly today, bend the bottom leg and just work through the top leg. But otherwise, straighten both legs and push through your feet so you feel your hip bones level up with each other. Use the outside of the leg to lift the top leg to about hip height. Use the inside of the bottom leg to lift it slightly off the floor, and then you scissor them, slide them out, pull them in. So this is really working. Hopefully you can feel it around this pelvic girdle here, keeping it strong and trying to get the legs to move away from each other. So really using your butt, really using your quads. Check the shoulder underneath you, that you're not pushing down into it. So stretch through your spine and push through your feet. When the bottom leg moves back, if the inner thigh muscles aren't really switched on, it's going to just bend at the knee. So you'll push through your foot and squeeze your inner thigh muscles. Push out. Really get that gap between your feet if you can. Stretch them. Feels good for a nice stretch in your hips. Do one more if you can. Stretch them. Good. And then bend your legs. Good. Onto your back. Over you go. Grab a drink if you want to, because it is warm. Well, it might not be when you do it. You might be doing it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. I'm grabbing a drink. Okay. And then you're going to lie on your back. So relax your shoulders. Now we've done both sides of the body, but you might be feeling a little bit wonky, because we're always stronger one side than the other. So when you lie on your back, cushion underneath your head if you want to. Knees bent or straight to start with, and we'll just give ourselves a minute just to reset. So check your shoulders are level, check your hips are level. Try and get a straight line down the front of your body so you've got natural curve in your lower back. If you've got your knees bent, feel that curve in your foot as well, and at your neck, so all those nice curves are in place, not pressed out. And then stretch your spine a little bit. I think we're about to have a visitor. Here he comes. Alright, then when you're ready, bend your knees and have the soles of your feet on the floor. Just a little rock backwards and forwards if you want, with the pelvis set right on that sacrum, just above your tailbone. And then we'll do our marching. So basically we're practicing standing on one leg. So stretch through your spine, tense the centre as much as you need to, and take one foot off the floor. Doesn't have to come a long way, because we're not working the joints at the moment. We're just seeing what our stability is like. And we're going to stand on one leg for a few seconds. and just checking out what's going on with the rest of us while we do it. There's a problem with supine work because you've got this nice solid floor. You can let the floor do all the work if you're not careful, and it's a waste of your time, isn't it? So just checking that when you stand on one leg, that you don't drop into your hip or your shoulder or over onto one side of the floor. Stretch out and find that balance. And if and when you're happy that you've got enough balance switched on, then you can come to your knee fold. So you're going to go from marching to that 90-degree position. And the hinge is at the hip, not the lower back. So you've still got that neutral spine and you've hinged at your hip. Bend your knee so that you're hinged at the hip, at the knee as well, and hold it for 5 seconds. Switch these thigh muscles on. Tense the thigh to hold that leg up. When you've counted to 5, that foot down, find your balance, try not to wobble around, and bring the other leg up as well. Use the thigh muscles, use the hip and knee joint. Relax the shoulders. Hold it for 5 seconds. Remember this, really good for making you build up the strength in the quads, and they're the muscles that lift your feet off the floor, so they're pretty important. And it's building up that flexibility and maintaining the flexibility in these hips and knees. So you can stay with level 1. Don't feel under pressure to move to level 2. But if you want to, one leg up. And if, like me, you've got quite an arched back, that's quite a difficult position to bring the other leg up from. So you might need to bring your knee in a little bit closer, just so the curve in your back feels a little bit more comfortable. And then the second leg joins, comes up. Parallel feet, parallel knees. Thigh muscles switched on to hold the legs up there. You shouldn't feel that you're holding that from your lower back. If you do, try bringing your knees a little bit closer so the pelvis tilts back slightly, or put one foot back to the floor. It is not your lower back that holds the weight of the legs. It's the leg muscles. The abdominal muscles support the pelvis and keep it neutral-ish. Might be out of neutral if you need to. Hold it for 5 seconds. One at a time, feet to the floor, and rest. So this one, despite all that work you know you're putting into it, needs to look super easy. So people can't see. If anybody's watching you, you've got family members there tutting because all you're doing is taking your feet off the floor. That means you're doing it really well. The easier this move looks, the better you're doing it. So stretch out and float. Holding for 5 seconds, being aware of the thigh muscles holding the legs up and the abdominals supporting the pelvis. So these thigh muscles are getting strong, the hips are mobile, the knees are mobile, the torso is nice and supported. Good, we'll make this our last one. And then put your feet down and have a stretch out. And if you want to, if you're feeling quite tight in the front of that hip after that one, if you put your hands one on top of the other and put them under your bum and then straighten your legs out, your hips are slightly higher than your feet and it just gives you a quick hip flexor stretch. Because then we've got a single leg kick to do. So come off your hands when you can. Single leg kick, again I'll start with the slightly easier option. So find your neutral, bring one leg to that knee fold position, opposite arm over shoulder. Now tense the middle, you're going to keep your ribs as they are, your hips as you are. You're going to push your leg away until it straightens at the knee. You're going to pull your arm back until it frames the side of your head. And then you're going to bring them back in. And you're going to put them back to the floor. No wobbling around, so float the leg up. Float the arm up. Set your shoulder and your hip. Keep them where they are. Push through the arm and the leg. Square the shoulder. Sometimes the shoulder drifts up, pull it back down. Sometimes the hip drops down, square it up. Pull the arm and leg back in. Float them to the floor. Same on the inside. And you can bring them up together if you want to at the same time. Lift, stretch, pull back in, put them down. Underneath you, while you're not rocking around, you're lengthened along the floor. And you can stay with this option, or you can come to double knee fold. If you want double knee fold, bring one leg up, tilt pelvis if needs to, and bring the other leg up. Float both hands, so both hands and both feet off the floor. Straighten one leg and pull the opposite arm back to the side of your head. Pull back in. Same on the side. Now what you've got to watch with this one, because there's more weight going out and you've got no support from the floor, you've got to really contract this belly, as if I'm going to come and punch you in the belly when you do this one. Really pull in as tight as you can without hunching. I still want you to lengthen the spine, but I want you to squeeze those abdominals tight. Push through the leg, push through the fingers. Square the shoulder and the hip, pull back in. One more, push out. Squeeze that centre. You've got to support the centre because the weight of the leg is pulling you. Back in, good. Put your feet down, put your arms down, relax the shoulders, and we'll go into our hip lifts. It always feels nice after that one. So heels level with the back of the knee. Relax the shoulders and lift your hips off the floor. Now, at first, you might not lift very far because you've worked all the front of these legs. They might be quite tight and resist this at first. But don't worry if you don't go up to your full lift at first. But you're lifting your hips, anchoring into your shoulders, anchoring into your feet. You can get that lift in the middle. And down. How are we doing for time? We're nearly done. We've only got 5 minutes left. So lift up. Don't cry, soon be done. Check the knees don't drift. Use the inner thigh muscles to keep the knees lined up with those hips. Anchor into your shoulders so your head doesn't slide along the floor. And lower. And we can add on to this if you want to. So if you go up to your bridge, make sure you're nice and settled in your shoulders and your feet. Take your hands off the floor and float your arms up and back. And it will give you a nice back stretch. Bring your hands back up to the ceiling and push down with your arms as you lower your bum to the floor. So again, working the arm muscles a little bit more. So check you haven't moved too far along the mat and come back if you have. Lift up, anchor into your shoulders and your feet. Float the arms up, squeeze in your butt. Float the arms back. Check the knees haven't drifted, line them up if they have. Float your hands back up to the ceiling so they're over the shoulders, and then as your bum starts to lower down, you push with your arms. I'm going to add a back stretch on if you want to. Again, any osteoporosis, any slip discs, this isn't for you. You carry on with what you've been doing. But otherwise, up to your bridge, float your arms up and back. Bring your hands back up to the ceiling. Now, you're going to put your bum down, but you're going to bring your spine down one bone at a time. So squeeze your butt and slowly come down. And I want your bum to touch the floor last. So you feel that cat stretch kind of feeling as your spine goes into a bit of a C shape, and you can slowly float your arms to the floor. So you end up with a tilted pelvis and you get a scooped belly, and then you level back to neutral. I'll go through it again. So reset your shoulders, up to your bridge, float your arms back, bring your hands up to the ceiling. Now let your pelvis start to tip back slightly as you go down. So you start through the upper back and you're trying to keep your bum away from the floor as long as you can. So you're getting that sort of C shape into your spine. Roll down and to neutral. Do one more if you can. So up to your bridge, arms float. If it's making your back feel sore, don't do it. Back up to the ceiling with your arms and slowly imprint the spine. Rolling through. Back to neutral. And if you want to, again, as long as it's suitable for your back, once you're down to the floor and in neutral, bring your shoulders up and forward into a little ab curl. And then imprint your spine back down again. So you go up to the bridge, float the arms back, hands up to the ceiling, imprint the spine, one bone at a time, bum last, roll down, come to neutral, bring the shoulders up and forward and reach past your knees. Good stretch for your back and imprint it. Last one, up. Never trust an instructor, back with the arms, up with the arms when they say this is the last one, because we'd always add at least one more on. Roll through, curl up. And then put your head to the floor and draw your knees into your chest if it's comfortable for you to do that. If it isn't, Soles of the feet together, knees apart will give you a nice stretch too. Stretching out your back. Breathe deep. Put your feet on the floor, hands underneath you, palms down, or roll onto your side if you prefer, and bring yourself up to sitting. Should feel a little bit easier to do that after the work we've done. And then you're just going to twist, sitting up nice and high through the spine. You're just doing a little twist. We're finishing off now. Keeping your sitting bones underneath you as you rotate your torso around. Hands behind you, rest on your fingertips, place your feet to the floor, pull your shoulders back and push your sternum forward. Hopefully there's less creaking than when we started. I'm not sure if that means my body's loosened or I've gone deaf, could be either, frankly, how things are going. Pull back and down, push the chest forward. Put your hands flat to the floor. Have your knees and feet apart. Any hip replacements, you keep your knees and feet together and do a little twist. But otherwise, knees and feet apart and just let the knees rock. Nice loosener for the hips. If you do these exercises on a warm day, make sure you drink plenty of fluids afterwards because you've been working quite hard. And even though these aren't very active moves, you're still going to be burning calories, you're still going to be sweating, so replace all that fluid. Okay, bring your knees and feet together, onto one side, onto your hands and knees. Hands in front of the knees, push onto the feet, as long as you don't tread on your laptop, and slowly roll up. Stand up nice and tall. Distribute your weight through your feet. Roll the shoulders back and down. You're done. Well done. Lovely to hear from you all. Keep the comments coming. I do appreciate them. I don't always get to answer all of them, so I'm sorry about that, but I do read them all and I really appreciate them all. I hope you're keeping well. I'll keep you informed about what's happening with future classes when we'll be back in our halls. I'm speaking to the caretakers and things, so I'll let you know when we're back. And keep well. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.